Who was Penuel in the Bible? Who was Penuel in the Bible? Penuel is a significant figure in the Bible, with appearances in the Old Testament, most notably in the book of Genesis and the book of Judges. Penuel, also known as Peniel, is a place where the patriarch Jacob had a divine encounter, wrestling with a mysterious figure throughout the night. The name Penuel means face of God, which is fitting as this encounter culminated in Jacob receiving a blessing and a new name, Israel, that became representative of an entire nation. In the book of Genesis, Penuel is portrayed as a life-changing experience for Jacob, shaping his destiny and the future of his descendants. Judges 8 tells a different story, where Penuel features as a city that refused to provide food for Gideon and his army during their pursuit of the Midianites. As a result, Gideon swore to return and tear down the city's tower, which he eventually did. The Bible's references to Penuel provide both a historical context and a spiritual significance. Penuel is more than just a geographic location. It represents a watershed moment in the life of Jacob, who faced his fears, received a new name and direction, and went on to become the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Key takeaways: Penuel, meaning face of God, is a key figure in the Old Testament, particularly the books of Genesis and Judges. It is a turning point in Jacob's life, where he receives a blessing and a new name, Israel. Penuel serves as both a historical and spiritual marker, representing personal transformation and divine encounters. Penuel in Genesis 32. Who was Penuel in the Bible? Here is a set of bullet points about who Penuel was in the Bible. Penuel was a city located in northern Israel, near the Jabbok River. The city was originally called Peniel. According to Genesis 32:22-32, Jacob wrestled with a divine being/angel at the Jabbok River near Penuel. During this wrestling match, which lasted through the night, Jacob's hip was put out of joint, but he prevailed and received a blessing. After the wrestling match, Jacob named the place Peniel, saying, "I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved." This is why the original name of the city was Peniel. Later, the name of the city was changed to Penuel. It is mentioned a few other times in the Bible, including in Judges 8:8-9 and 1 Kings 12:25. Penuel was an important city located along a major trade route. It controlled access to a key ford/crossing point on the Jabbok River. The divine wrestling match that Jacob had near Penuel/Peniel is quite significant, as it marked Jacob's struggle with God and humans, and his transition from being a deceiver to being named Israel. Penuel served as an important geographical location associated with one of the key stories in the life of Jacob in the book of Genesis, but its precise location today is unknown. Jacob's wrestling in Genesis 32, we find the story of Jacob's wrestling with a mysterious being. Jacob is on his way back to his homeland but is anxious about meeting his brother Esau, whom he had deceived years earlier. During the night at a place later named Penuel, Jacob encounters a man who wrestles with him until the break of day. This man is often interpreted as an angel or a representation of God. Face to face after wrestling, the man tells Jacob that his name will now be Israel, which means he who struggles with God or God's fighter. The name change signifies a transformation in Jacob's character and his acknowledgement of divine intervention in his life. In recognition of this spiritual victory, Jacob names the place Penuel or Peniel, meaning face of God. In Genesis 32:30, he says, "For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." Jabbok River. The location of Penuel is believed to be near the Jabbok River, a tributary of the Jordan River. After Jacob wrestles with the divine being and receives the blessing, he crosses the Jabbok with a limp, a reminder of his encounter. The river's location plays a critical role in this narrative, as it symbolizes a boundary that Jacob must cross to enter back into his homeland and face the challenges that await, including his reunion with Esau. In conclusion, Penuel is an important biblical location in Genesis 32, where Jacob wrestles with a divine being and emerges transformed. The story encompasses themes of struggle, transformation, and divine intervention, all centered around the experience at Penuel. Penuel in Judges 8. Gideon's confrontation in Judges 8. The Bible tells the story of Gideon, an Israelite judge, who was chosen by God to save his people from the oppression of the Midianites. Gideon led a small army against the Midianites and their kings, Zebah and Zalmunna. After a significant victory, Gideon and his army pursued the fleeing Midianites. Along the way, they encountered the people of Succoth and Penuel, who refused to provide food for Gideon's hungry soldiers. Gideon became angry and warned the men of Penuel, saying in Judges 8:9, "When I return in triumph, I will tear down this tower." The confrontation between Gideon and the people of Penuel set the stage for further events in this story. The Tower of Penuel. The Tower of Penuel was a likely fortress or a symbol of the city's strength. Gideon's threat to the people of Penuel in Judges 8:9 emphasized the severity of their refusal to help his army. After defeating Zebah and Zalmunna, Gideon returned to Penuel and kept his promise. In Judges 8:17, Gideon demolished the tower and killed the men of the city as punishment for their lack of assistance during his time of need. Zebah and Zalmunna were the kings of Midian, whom Gideon was pursuing in Judges 8. They represented the oppression the Israelites had been facing at the hands of the Midianites. Gideon's ultimate goal was to defeat these kings and remove the Midianite threat. After capturing and finally killing Zebah and Zalmunna, Gideon successfully saved the people of Israel from their enemies. Throughout the events in Judges 8, the city of Penuel and its tower played a significant role in showcasing Gideon's determination and unwavering faith in God. By holding the people of Penuel accountable for their refusal to support God's chosen leader, Gideon demonstrated the importance of unity and obedience among the Israelites in their battle against foreign oppressors. Father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author, welcome to our family. View all posts.